Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into a report from Praxis Precision Medicines. And let me tell you, it's not just about pills and potions. There are some really interesting insights about how they're trying to tackle some tough brain diseases. But is the company healthy enough to do so? We will see in this video. But before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below where we share all our findings and chat about the market. So what's this Form 8K all about? Think of it as a company's way of shouting out, hey, something important happened. It's like a bat signal for investors, letting them know about big changes or events that could affect the company. In this case, Praxis Precision Medicines is giving us an update on their progress in treating some serious brain disorders. The company updated its presentation for investors, so that's where some of this information comes from. You can find it on their website. We are just using this report to see what's important from our point of view. Now let's get to the juicy bits. Praxis gave updates on their programs for what they call DEs, which are developmental and epileptic encephalopathies. Basically, these are really tough brain disorders that cause seizures and developmental problems, mainly in kids. Praxis is working on treatments to help these patients. They shared some good news about their EMBOLD study. They looked at patients with specific genetic problems, SCN2A and SCN8A DE, found that their treatment, relutrigine, seemed to help reduce seizures over almost a year of treatment. That's a big deal for these patients and their families. Praxis is also planning a bigger study called Emerald to test relutrigine in a wider group of D patients. This study will be a phase 3 trial, which means it's one of the last steps before a drug can be approved. They'll be testing the drug against a placebo, which is a fake treatment, to see how well it really works. They're also working on a new treatment called PRAX 100 for a different type of genetic problem that causes autism. They plan to pick a specific version of this treatment to develop further sometime this year. Of course, the company reminds everyone that these are forward-looking statements. That means they're predictions about the future and things could change. There are always risks and uncertainties in drug development, like clinical trials not going as planned or the government not approving a treatment. To find more about those risks, you should check their annual report, which is called Form 10K. I know what you're thinking, all of that is great, but how is the company doing financially? Are they on track to actually get these treatments to patients? Sadly, this report doesn't contain all the financial info, so we need to look at a different one. The most recent is from the end of last year, and let's find the 10K form. Here we have the company's financials. Let's dive in. Looking at the balance sheet, as of the end of December, the company had about $340 million in cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities. In simple words, these are assets that they can use almost immediately. That sounds like a lot. But drug development is a very expensive business. Under assets, there's accounts receivable net that is about $1.7 million. Accounts receivable is the money that is owed to the company by its customers who bought something on credit but haven't paid yet. The net part means that the company has already taken into account some money that they might not be able to collect. 1.47 million out of 340 million assets means it's a small part of the company's resources. Now let's switch to liabilities. Accrued expenses and other current liabilities stand at $21.6 million. Accrued expenses are costs that the company has already incurred but hasn't paid yet. These could be for things like salaries, utilities, or other services. Other current liabilities are short-term debts or obligations due within a year combined. These represent money the company owes soon. This is a tricky one and important to understand. Warrant liability, the company has about 7.2 million listed under this category. Warrants give the holder the right to buy the company's stock at a specific price, the exercise price within a certain time period. When these warrants are issued, they create a liability for the company because the company might have to issue new shares in the future if the warrant holders exercise their rights. The warrant liability is the estimated value of this potential obligation. Finally, let's look at the equity of the company. Total stockholders' equity is how much the company is really worth to its shareholders. It's calculated by subtracting total liabilities from total assets. For Praxis, the total stockholders' equity at the end of 2024 was about $68 million. This number represents the owner's stake in the company. Let's look into the profit and loss statements. Unfortunately, the company doesn't have revenue. It's common for companies at this stage of drug development because they are still in the research and clinical trial phase. The income comes much later when the drug is actually approved and sold. What the company does have are heavy costs. Research and development expenses were $126.5 million. These expenses include all the costs associated with discovering, testing, and developing new drugs. It's a significant investment but necessary for a company in this field. General and administrative expenses were $41.3 million. These covered the costs of running the company, such as salaries for executives, legal fees, and other administrative functions. Given all those expenses, the company had a net loss of $165.6 million for the year. A net loss means the company spent more money than it brought in. It's a significant loss, but not unexpected for a biotech company investing heavily in R&D. The company ended up using about $157 million in cash for its operating activities. That means they're burning through cash as they work on their research and development. So even though the company has $340 million, they are losing $150 million a year. So that means they only have about 2 years left unless they raise more cash. Now looking at these results more broadly, Praxis is in a tough but typical spot for a biotech company. They have a good amount of cash but are burning through it quickly. Hopefully they will get some products approved soon to get some revenue. This money is needed to get their treatments through trials and onto the market. The updates on their DE programs are promising, but there's still a long road ahead. They need to show that their treatments are safe and effective in larger trials. The biggest risk is always whether their treatments will actually work and get approved. If they don't, they could run out of money and not be able to continue their work. You really can get approved. If they don't, their DE programs are promising, but there's still a long road ahead. They need to show that their treatments are safe and effective in larger trials. Varniquinopterols. Alright, that's our breakdown of Praxis's latest filings. What's your take on these updates and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.